Over last winter, we had several trees blow down in the storms, including this large white pine behind me. I'm going to work on cutting this up today. I think it's good enough that there may be a couple of saw logs in it if I can drag them up the hill to the road. I'm going to try to do that. We may not get those milled up, but if I've got them, at least I have that option. So it's the stump on this tree that gave up. And as we look at it, it's a good size, probably about 3 feet in diameter down there. This section here is not useful for anything. In fact, probably all the way up until about that knot. It's beyond that where it straightens out that I think there may be some saw logs in there. It is wet over toward the edge of the water there, so as I get this cut up, I am going to have to try and pull it back. And again, this is pretty big for the Ford 1700 tractor to be muscling around, but I'm hoping I can drag some pieces. I've got the chains here to be able to hook onto the tractor and try and pull things out of here. Looking at it from the other side, there's that base. That's not going to be worth anything, but from about there up, there may be some good saw logs out of this tree. So I'm probably going to just knock this butt into a couple of pieces, make sure they're pushed out of the way. And then from here, I'll see if I can get maybe an 8 and a 12 or a couple 12s, something like that. I gotta think about what I'll actually be able to pull with the Ford 1700. Before I finish this cut, since this is the piece that I'm hoping to pull up for a saw log, I put some junk under there that'll hold it up off the ground, but I'm actually going to put a chain on it now before I drop it free. Okay, now that I've dropped this down, I just need to go up and make the other cuts. There's two more cuts. There's a 12-foot log here and then an 8-foot log that I marked out. And then beyond that I have to see, because I'm going to have to pull that back. to be able to work with it. So let's get these cuts done, and then we'll see about moving this out of the way and pulling that back up. So I'm just gonna forget about that top. I could actually drag it out of here now. I've mostly cut it up, but it's so buried down into the soft ground there, because believe it or not, the water's edge is kind of right there with all the weeds. So I was actually standing in it a little bit to kind of cut the top up. The problem here was this section was just anchored into the ground with these branches, which is why I couldn't pull it back. On top of that, if I spin around here, it's just been super wet from all the rain that we've been getting down here at the bottom of the hill. And so it was just a muddy mess, and I couldn't get enough traction to pull out of here. So this is a wrap. All we're gonna do now is push those big pieces off a little bit more into the woods. We'll take the forks off the bucket to do that. Otherwise, this is now cleaned up and sufficiently out of the way. I've never tried to move logs that big with the little Ford 1700 tractor, but we were able to pull two 12-footers and one 8-footer all the way up the hill so that they could be sent off to the mill and sawn up into boards. Two of them, one of the 12s and one 8, definitely I think are good enough for that. The third one is a little iffy with all the knots, but we'll see if we have need, and at least we have those up there at the top of the hill. We also have this big tree out of the way.